Yay! Okay, it's going.
All
Woohoo!
right, we live?
Yeah, we're live. We're live.
All right.
Cool. So yeah, welcome, Katie. I just want to say congrats on all your awesome progress. You've been really
Thanks.
crushing it. Your music's fantastic.
Thank you, thank you. I've been enjoying it.
Yeah, super cool. I remember when you were like, "How do I music?" And
Yeah,
now you're fucking killing
much.
it. It's great. It's great. Yeah, really inspiring progress. I noticed a
Oh,
drum
yeah.
kit back there. Are you playing drums?
No, I moved recently and those are my roommates, but
Oh, cool.
maybe I'll learn a little bit.
Yeah,
That'd be
or at
sweet.
least make samples.
Yeah, no, I was thinking that. I was like, he has a bunch of different drumsticks and brushes and shit. And I was
Do you
like, I need to get over there
do you
someday.
have a SM57?
I don't.
Okay, because if you have either like an SM57 or an SM58, which are like the standard microphone,
Uh-huh.
this is right
Okay.
here. This guy,
Yeah.
one of these. They're about $100,
Okay.
and they
Not too bad,
last.
yeah.
It'll last you forever. Like they're
Okay.
really good mics, and it's pretty much like just like great for instruments, for vocals, for whatever. But the difference between the SM57 and the SM58, like they both have a cardioid pattern.
Okay.
What a cardioid pattern means is that it's basically like a cone shape pointing at whatever you want to record, whereas other types of mics are omnidirectional and they get everything, and like a lot of condenser mics
Okay.
don't get like everything in the room, so you need like a booth if you're going to record the condenser mic. Condenser mics, you get like nicer highs and stuff, so I like the sound of a condenser mic on a
Okay.
vocal. They feel like a lot more defined and stuff, but you have to very tightly control the room noise,
Okay.
because it gets everything. But an SM57 or an SM58, they're a directional microphone or a cardioid microphone. That's what you call a directional mic, is a cardioid mic. And the SM57, which is what I'm using here, has a much narrower focus, right?
Okay.
And that's how I'm able to like live stream with my speakers, and you're not hearing your voice come through it so much.
Gotcha.
And then that way I don't have to wear headphones when I'm live streaming.
Right.
That like it can kind of be a bit much if you wear headphones for like 12 hours or something. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay. Good to know. Yeah, I don't have a mic yet, so I'll definitely look into
you can get one
getting
on
of
like
those.
reverb.com for probably like $90 or something.
Okay.
They last forever. And fun fact, the SM57 that I'm using here is the mic that is the official microphone of the President of the United States.
There you go.
It blocks out all of the noise of all the chaos around him and all the people shouting at him and stuff. So they've been using those since like, I don't know, like the 50s or something. It's like an ancient design.
Okay.
But it's just one of those things where they just, it's like a buy it for life kind of mic.
Gotcha.
So I own like 3 or 4, there's a bunch in the drum room. I use one as my talk over mic. You can do instruments with them, you can do vocals. Bono likes the SM58 so much that he recorded all of the vocals for U2 ever.
Oh yeah.
SM58. And that's why U2, because he wanted it to sound the same live.
Okay.
So he figured, I guess, using the same mic live as in the studio would make it sound more like that, so that they're more unified. But when you're miking drums, usually like let's, how like in the Ableton kits, there's like multi-mic kits that are like, there's like crazy like 5 microphones on each drum hit and you balance it and it's all complicated. That's only really for rock drums.
Okay.
Right? Or for if you want to use the kit as like your only drum source. And then you need to process like the close mic on the snare and the close mic on the kick. Those become kind of like your main kick and your main snare. And then you'd like process them and beef them up. And then they would be providing the impact. But in electronic music, you're doing that with like a synth drum or a drum sample or whatever for the main power of the drums. And you only really need the like overhead mics on the drum kit. So really, you can like literally just take an SM57, hang it over the drum kit, pointing straight down, and then just get the overhead noise, and you could be making drum samples like that, and
That's sweet.
it's not going to get that much of the room, and you've got a carpet below.
Yeah.
Really, really nice. So if you just take like a drumstick and just hit it really soft, and then a little harder and a little harder and a little harder, and you make like a little ramp of velocities.
Yeah.
Right, then you can just cut those in the sampler and put them at the different velocities, and then you have like a fucking awesome snare layer that's velocity responsive. It's really, really easy to do. And then you can do stuff like if you put a bunch of change on the snare drum and hit it, or
okay, fun.
Yeah, stuff like that. And then you can get these like really kind of custom, cool. They're called prepared drum sounds.
Okay.
So people will do that with a piano too. If you look up prepared piano, you'll see pianos where people will like clip things to the strings and stuff, and like have like, as you play the piano, there's all this like weird rattling, or like maybe they're using solenoids to like strike the piano strings or whatever, right? That would be a prepared piano piece, because you're not, it's for like sampling, like you're not playing it in the traditional way.
Right.
But yeah, I think you could probably, like, especially with your style of music, like with the whole, like you use a lot of drum sounds that are kind of like acoustic drum sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool that you have an acoustic drum kit there.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to play around with that the next like week or two and get some in there.
Yeah, it's super fun. But I mean, you can even, if you just want to fuck around, just use your iPhone mic.
Okay, yeah.
It's pretty decent. Like I've made lots of samples just with my phone that are fine. You just have to make sure you're like recording in like WAV files and not MP3s, and
Okay.
But yeah, so if you just want to like try it out right away, just use your phone. But if you want it to be pro, it'll only cost you like $90 to go with a
perfect
M57. Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. So do you have any like project files you want me to take a look at, or like what do you want for our lesson here?
So I don't have any project files like zipped up and saved right now, but I had like 3 of my more recent songs I was working on.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Maybe send to you. Because like kind of where I feel like I'm at now, like the last couple months, I feel like I'm starting to finally like make music that kind of feels more like me. Like I was kind of like starting to finally like the stuff I was making, but it still wasn't feeling super me, I guess.
Yeah.
And so it's been like the last few songs that I feel like.
I mean, you go in and out of it too. Like you'll find it feels like you for a long time.
Yeah.
And then you like kill it and really explore that sound, and then you'll grow as a person.
And then it changes.
This doesn't sound like me anymore, and then you have to update your sound. So it's a constant.
Right.
It's a constant process.
Okay, right on. Is there a chat in here, or should I email you?
Yeah, just post it in the chat, and then the chat's private.
Okay.
I will switch to headphones now, actually.
Chat. Okay.
Cool. Did you go party in the dark?
Yeah, I was ambassadoring all weekend, so I'm like pretty dead. My body is hurting too, but
did you guys get night vision?
It was so fun. It was so fun. It's completely wild to me that like in 6 hours they're like, "Yep, we have a new spot. This is happening."
Yeah, they're
crazy.
Hustles, man. They hustle.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also like there's just so many people who are going to be horribly disappointed. Like
Exactly. They definitely work their asses off and figured shit out.
Hang on, I'll be right back just a second.
Yeah.
Oh God, back injuries are the worst, man. So
what'd you do?
It's just from the plane. Like, I had this flight where I flew on not my normal airline, so I didn't get special treatment. And it was an American flight, and they had these chairs where like like when things have like lumbar support, there's like a thing that sticks forward at the bottom of your back and then it goes up. For some reason, some fucking idiot, I guess to just save space or whatever, they made it so that there's this really sharp angle like in the fucking middle of your back, right? And there's no way for the chairs to recline. And I had pulled an all-nighter on this track the night before to getting ready for this gig. So I passed out, like full passed out on a not reclining chair with a fucking spike in the middle of my back. And basically that dislocated one of my vertebrae about a month ago. And then that kind of like just set off this cascade where basically last week, suddenly I was just in horrible fucking pain and I had to go to the chiropractor. Like I have to do like 12 chiropractor visits and all this shit. It sucks.
That's a bummer for sure.
Yeah, it's really, really frustrating, but you know, what are you gonna do?
Especially something like that. There's no easy, quick fix to.
Yeah. And I mean, I know it was from that plane ride, but it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I want to go around suing American Airlines and shit. Like, it'd just be such a pain in the ass. But it was definitely the fault of the American Airlines non-reclining economy seat design. It was definitely that did it. Yeah, it sucks. But luckily here, my chair in the studio is really nice. And
I finally, since I moved, I was like sitting at my kitchen chair forever, which was just like a wooden chair, killing my back. I was like, finally moved, got a good chair, and it's like a game changer.
Yeah, the studio chair is so important, man.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I'm also gonna try and like go back to working standing up. At my last place, I had a standing up desk, and it was like, you know, I mean, it's hard to do 12 hours standing up, but it still is like makes a pretty big difference. Okay.
I'm getting an echo on my end now.
You're getting an echo now, huh? Okay.
Yeah, from me, not from you.
Okay, I think I know what that is. Okay, talk again. Any echo?
Test. All good. Yeah.
It's all good. Okay, so I might have to change to a not as nice mic.
Okay.
Oh wait, that's what it is. Let's turn that off. Okay. How about now? Do you still have an echo?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. I think I can fix it here. If I go to...
I can't hear you now. Okay.
There we go. That should be the mic.
All right.
Let's see if I can do that from Safari. Okay, because I don't normally use Safari. So if I make Safari feed the mic, and then I paste your link into Safari, but not Chrome, which we are using for streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see if this works. Oh, it wants me to sign in. Oh, no, I think I can view it without signing in. Okay. Let's see if this is playing. Interesting. Can you hear that?
I can, yes.
Okay, but I cannot. So let's do this. Let's try it again. Now I can hear it. Can you also hear it?
Yep. Good on my end.
Okay, yay, Loopback. Yeah, Loopback's a great app. Really good if you're sampling.
Perfect.
Today we hustle. Today we hustle, but the night we play. Today we hustle. Today we hustle. Today we hustle.
Okay, I have a drum sound I want to teach you that you'll love.
Okay, sweet.
Today we hustle, but the night we play. Today we hustle. Today we hustle. Today we hustle. Today we hustle. Today
where you paste the reveal of the vocal sample. It's smart.
Okay, sweet.
I'm gonna take you back. Take you back. I'll take you back. I'm gonna take you back. Take you back. I'll take you back.
The day we hustle, what the night we play. The day we
Take you back.
The day we hustle. The day we hustle, day we hustle. Take you back. The day we hustle. The day we hustle. The day we hustle. The day we hustle, but the night we played.
Cool. Okay, so how are you doing your drums? Are you doing them audio or are you doing them with drum racks?
Yeah, drum racks.
Sick.
Yeah.
Way better.
Yeah, I definitely use those for as many things as I can.
Yeah, it's
definitely
amazing how many people don't. Like, I harp on
Yeah.
it again and again and again, and so many people are like, nah, I'll just use audio.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
cool.
it's definitely super useful.
Cool. All right, so I will show you some shit now. Okay,
Sweet.
so I'm going to switch to screen sharing mode, which
Alright.
is, where are we? There we are. Share. Okay, cool. So I'll go in here and I'll just get some, I'll get like a drum rack and just pop some drum hits into it.
Okay.
Go 128. Oh wait, actually here, maybe is this one gonna work? I think this might be too old. Yeah, a lot of my, oh no, it worked. Okay, cool. So I'll turn the push on. Okay, cool. So, okay, there we go. So I'll put that kick there. No, where's the, yeah, I'll put the snare there. And open hats. Okay, cool. So I'll just make a really simple pattern here at 140. Okay. See here.
So just FYI, I can't hear your.
Oh,
inputs.
okay. I gotta go back to loop back. Sorry, I'm all
No, all good.
I gotta set loop back to do it. Yeah, it's because of the update. I think I had it set on the beta.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm so glad it's out of beta. I kept like accidentally making stuff in the beta and then being like, oh, sorry guys.
Yeah, I need to switch over. That's a today or tomorrow project.
Oh, it's so great. The new features are so amazing.
Yeah.
They're so good.
Definitely, they look pretty sweet.
Okay, cool. So you should be able to hear now.
Yeah.
Oh, but now I cannot hear. Options, do not mute. Okay, cool. So there we go. So now I want to show you, like, check out the snare. Okay, so we're going to process the snare. So I'm just going to open up the drum rack so we can see it inside.
Okay.
And I'm going to go kick and snare. And I'm going to make that snare white. Okay. So now what I want to show you, right, because, like, okay, so your track, right, is really, really minimal and cool, and all the sounds are cool, and the composition is totally going to work.
Okay.
But what you need to do is make sure that you're framing the mix properly, that the mix still
Okay.
sounds big and it still sounds full and it sounds like it's just like fucking just maximizing the
Right,
space,
right.
right? So one of the things that can make a really big difference when you do that, here I'm gonna kill this gene on there. One thing that can make a really big difference on doing that, in doing that, is getting some like side chained reverb into your drums. So I'm gonna show you a
Okay.
couple ways to do it, but I'll show you the way to make the basic sound on just this drum loop, okay? But the gated reverb, right? If you look up, like here, I'll go back over to here, and if you go to gated reverb Vox, there is a whole video that is basically like a little mini documentary about
Okay.
how this drum sound was created and how it became so popular.
Mhm.
Right, so I just pasted that into the chat for you.
Sweet.
But basically, and this goes back to what I was saying about overheads. What like basically they were having a conversation with the musicians in the booth and the engineer, right? And basically, while they were doing the talk back while the drums were playing, one of them was like, "Whoa, fuck! The drums sound amazing in the talk back," and that was because they were listening to the reverb of the drums was like really big, right?
Okay.
It goes through like the specifics of it, but basically what you want to do is get this like big ass fucking reverb and then cut off the end of it so it's like a sustained blast of reverb.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna use the echo reverb because it's fucking way better. It's
Yeah.
just so awesome. So I don't know if you've watched the other videos, but how you deactivate the the delay is you put it on time, drag the time all the way down, and then turn the feedback all the way down. And now this is, and then if I were to turn this filter off, now this would be exactly the same. But 1 minute later, oops, that's not the one. There's my snare. Okay, so now all it's doing is filtering. It's just like a millisecond later. So it's
Right,
not really
okay.
it's not really any kind of discernible difference. Like a millisecond, like sound travels 1 foot per millisecond. So if you're 3 feet away from your speakers, you have a 3 millisecond delay from your speakers. That's how short a millisecond is.
Okay.
Okay, so it's like pretty negligible. So what you want to do is put this into parallel so that you have the dry signal on one chain here, and then this one is going to be the gated reverb. So first thing you want to do is activate the reverb, and you do that by turning the percentage of the reverb all the way up, and now this thing is only functioning as a reverb. And then you can fuck with the decay a bit. Okay, so now we want to gate this thing off. So there's a couple different ways to do this. All right. One way is to take a gate and put it after, and then you want to turn the floor all the way down because you want it to be off, and then you move the threshold until you get like an amount of time that you like. Okay, so now I want to I want this reverb off of the transient because I don't want to wash out the
Right.
transient. I want that transient to be nice and mono, and I want it to be really powerful. So if you go into the character tab, there's a built-in fucking sidechain right in there. So you just turn ducking on, turn the release time nice and short, and bring the threshold down. Then that gets the reverb off of the dry signal, right?
Okay, yeah. Okay, sweet. Yeah.
And you can adjust that to taste. But the thing is, right, when you're kind of moving this thing around, like you'll notice that the timing is not very precise on this gate, right? Like this is a lot longer, and like I want it to be like a fucking eighth note. Like I want that reverb to shut off when the note shuts off. So what I sometimes do is I'll like solo the reverb, turn the ducking off, and then sample it, and then put that in the drum rack, right? So you have a sample of the reverb. But another thing that I like to do is I will make a second chain in parallel. So I've got my drum cell here, and now I'm just gonna take some Caucasian commotion, aka white noise, and I'm gonna get just like blast of white noise. Yeah, or like, where is it? Or this one will do. Okay, so I'll get that, and now I want to make this precisely 1/8 note long. Okay? So what you can do is get a MIDI effect and get the note length out. And then put that note length in there and put it on sync, and then you can just set it to 1/8 note. Then if you mute that chain so that it does not, you can't hear it, and then go over to the gate, you can side chain from the white noise.
Okay.
Right, so I'll go to here, and then if I scroll into snare, I can see white noise post effects. And then now it's the white noise doing the triggering. So here I'll take the release time all the way down, attack time all the way down. You don't have to worry about clicks because you don't hear it. See, and then you get a really precisely timed reverb, right? And then if you want to change the character of it, which I recommend, you can turn on the high and low pass filter. So if you want like a high one,
Okay, yeah.
right? And then you can add that layer, and that layer will really make the drums like pump and breathe and like fucking really rock. And then also because your gate is doing like, because before I had to adjust this threshold on the side chaining because it wasn't triggering the gate properly. But now that this white noise is triggering the gate properly, I'm free to make the side chain more extreme. So you hear how it's like, it almost sounds like a reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can also adjust the output without fucking up the side chain. But yeah, so you get a fucking sweet spot in that reverb. And then you can start doing things like going into the modulation tab, and let's say we want to do the filter, right? Let's say we want it to have it go up every 8th note, right? We could select the saw up and then go to filter. Right? So you can hear it like pumping up. Let's make it more extreme. Oh yeah, it's already, yeah. You could also have this automate the delay time, which would give you a pitch effect. But you have to give it up a little bit. Right?
Okay, yeah.
So you can really, or you could change the decay on the reverb. And it's really controllable, right? And then you can have this like really controllable kind of texture layer on top of the drums that you can like move as the track progresses, maybe have it be more open in some spots, maybe have it be gone in some spots, etc., right?
Okay,
And it gives
sweet,
that
yeah.
like this is a like, I mean, I've been doing this effect with my tracks with Lauren for fucking ever. Like if you listen to and it's a real staple of like the whole bass nectar sound. Like if I go to or here, actually I'll go to Safari because Safari's wired into your shit. So go boombox, Hill Gates. But listen to this at the beginning, like listen to the drums.
Watch the
fuck you.
Ad first, of course.
Let's go to my channel. You know what?
Yeah.
So you hear that?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so that's how you do that.
Sweet,
shit.
yeah.
But this is the kind of more evolved, more modern way to do it. It's like a lot cleaner with this like white noise side chain with a precise amount of time, opening and closing the gate, and then here, because to do it in boombox, like we had to basically sample all of those reverb sounds and then cut them in as a second layer, which is, you know, one way to do it. It works.
Right.
But I like having it as something that's in the mix. And then sometimes I'll basically have like on my drum rack, then the reason why I leave all these empty when I'm programming my drum racks is I might want to map like reverb parameters to here. This one might change up some of the drum layers, so it'll like might turn the reverbs off and on. This one might like put some extra texture layers off and on, right? So,
Okay.
because once you have like on your cell, once you have a rack with different layers, like I could go in, I like to make 128s of what I call splats. And these are like kind of, oh, hang on, it's being dumb. A lot of these 128, like, I mean, to be fair, that 128 is literally 10 years old. So, yeah, these were some of the first ones that I made when I was first making the template for Lauren. Yeah, because fun fact, I came up with the 128s as a way for Lauren to not go through sample folders when I was making his library
Oh,
in
really?
2009.
Huh.
Yeah, because he was just like, I hate going through sample folders. It's such a bummer. I just want all my sounds ready. And I was like, And then,
There's a way to do this, I'm sure.
yeah, totally. But it was a result of his complaining that
Well,
got it done.
perfect.
Yeah. So, but yeah, here we are. Okay, good. And candidates. I hate this fucking shit. Like, there's one candidate. Like, obviously pick the one candidate that it is. Okay, so then I'm gonna save this. Save this rather. Yes, great. Okay. Cool. So now that should hold the splats. Okay, cool. So I'll have like a bunch of these texture layers, right? And then I'll either use the chain selector to go through them. So like
Okay.
I know I always want this main drum sound. I always want that, and I know I'm probably gonna want reverb like I don't know that much of the time, and then I'll say like reverb for let's give it that many positions because you know sometimes you might want to change it, and I'll do like one here. That's this one, and then another one here. That's that one. Right, and then on this one I'll like change the splat. I'm just gonna do it at random, and then I might macro this, right, and then macro that to that, and then I can just have all my drum rack parameters on the top level drum rack, so you can have it be like, you know, one section of songs like this, right, and you can just keep making these things, and it gives the feeling like your drum kit is like evolving and moving as the track goes on. And then you can also use these sounds because all these sounds, these splats and the white noise reverb and stuff, they're all sitting out in the three extremes because remember it's the three extremes that are used to frame the mix. So the very highs and the very edges, right? So you'll probably not want to have these sounds on your transients. I'll often just turn the attack up to like maybe 30 milliseconds or something on each of these so that they don't go on the transients. And then, because you always want that nice, clean, dry transient on your other sounds. So I might do that to like turn up the transients a bit. And then, you know, and then you can, if you have this all the way up, if you right click and go show modulation, then you can adjust the chain selector even right inside the drum rack. So let's do that for there, and then I don't know, back to here, and then back down to there.
Okay, sweet.
Right? So it helps you to not just frame the mix, but it also helps you to like it helps you to not just like pop because that snare, like when you're dancing, the snare is the 4/4 kick drum of breakbeat music.
Okay, yeah.
So that snare needs to be like big, you know, it needs to really, because like when people are dancing, whether they do it consciously or unconsciously, they're relying on that snare to like punctuate the dance, right?
Right.
Like there'll be all these noodly bass riffs and shit, but people aren't really like, you know, mimicking every LFO movement and stuff. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
really mostly dancing to the kick, the snare, and the sub. You know, just to kind of do most of your body. And then they might, like, if there's a vocal sample, they might put their hands in the air, or if there's like a big fucking drop, they might like do a hand swat or something.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not really like acting out all the different bass sounds, unless they're like a super sick like actual dancer. Then they'll be like, oh
Right,
yeah,
right.
fucking it's like this and then this, and the part where it goes tickety tickety, I'm gonna do this shit with my hands or whatever,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So but that snare, it's really important that that snare be like dominating the whole hierarchy in the spot when that snare happens. So that means lots of highs,
Okay.
and sometimes it means extra layers with edges. But I really like to have this like kind of I call it the noise wash. You've probably
Mm-hmm.
heard me refer to it. I'm gonna do a weekly download about it, but I often have this thing that I call the noise wash that is basically like here. I'll just make a noise wash for you. But it's basically like this pulsing energy that goes over the top of everything. So
Uh-huh.
you can make it in a lot of ways, but you want it to be kind of subtle, right? So a lot of the time people will do it with like, you know, white noise is a great way to do it. So let's go down to here. Here, I'm gonna pop this over into the arrange view. But yeah, so let's see. Let's find some just straight up white noise. Yeah, there we go. Nice fucking white noise. So, you know, you take this white noise and put it real low in the mix, like real low in the mix. And then a lot of the time you'll do like envelopes on it or side chains, right? And you get this kind of
Okay.
like, just get it kind of like pumping to the beat. But you'd have it really quiet, right? And then this is gonna kind of fit around the beat and provide a lot of the energy. So now here I want to do little dips for these ones, but I want to keep the big one. So I'm gonna consolidate, which prints the fade
Mm-hmm.
in, and then go chop, chop,
Oh,
chop,
okay.
and then make more little ones. Same thing with this. Right, but you really like only someone who is a producer is going to hear this.
Right.
And then you keep it really quiet. And then I will often go in and take an EQ, because sometimes white noise has lower frequencies that you don't necessarily need for this effect. So I'll do like, and it just sits like on top of the beat, like providing that like the highs and providing that pump, and it just makes it feel like the beat is like sustaining more and like pumping, and it almost sounds like compression, but it's not actually sidechain compression, it's just like a layer. So some other really popular things to do, if you get a sample of a crowd, oh, that was a good one. What was that? Yeah, so you get this shit really quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And you want it to be like totally subliminal. And then sometimes I'll like go get like an auto pan and do the fake side chain on it, like this, and turn the phase like that, put it like that. Probably put that on quarter notes, I guess. But your audience won't really recognize it as what it is here. So I'll group these. Yeah, you won't hear it. It just comes off as like energy.
Gotcha.
It just adds like hype and energy, right? So you get a bunch of this stuff just kind of like together, working to add that. Here, I'll mute the main drum so you can hear it.
Yeah.
And then so if you want to make it like a little bit more present, you can sometimes put erosion on it, because sometimes when you have too many of these things, they need to be reunified.
Okay.
So you put like the wide noise on it. But you got to keep the shit off of the transients.
Mm-hmm.
And it really kind of pumps the whole thing up. And then if you were to take the beat and compress it with this shit in your drum group.
Okay.
Actually, you know what else I'll do? I'll do vinyl crackle, so I can just show you that one. Because a sample of vinyl crackle is a very popular thing to use for this.
Okay.
Because it's got extreme highs, but a lot of people forget this about vinyl noise. It also has extreme width, because the cracks. See, like, look at these. Look how stereo this shit is.
Right,
it's like
right.
super stereo. So people forget that. They think of vinyl as this like lo-fi kind of shitty thing, but not necessarily. You know, like it is pretty hi-fi. Like all those little transients and stuff are nice.
Mm-hmm.
See, I took that off of warp. Right? So then when you get it together with the drums and then like put a drum bus on it, the way it kind of like inflates the whole energy and just like adds like that sounds like a beat now, you know?
Right, right.
Whereas like take this noise wash out. Oh, actually, you'd have to take off those extra layers I made too, or at least turn them. I guess this one's a little.
Yeah, just super empty without it.
Yeah. So then you get all this shit together. Like that just sounds like energy, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So if you're gonna be working on these like more kind of minimal compositions, like with the drum groove and everything, these kind of details are really gonna help you like make it feel like there's like it's really full and thick and like has a lot of energy without having a lot of sounds.
Okay, sweet.
Cool. So then I'm gonna go check out the next track now. So let's copy the link, and then we'll go back to Safari. Come on. There we go. I like how broken those first notes are.
Yeah. This was for my cipher that Jesse ran.
Oh, cool.
So last month, yeah.
Yeah, I'm stoked we finally have 12 now, so I'm starting to get more serious about the podcast. I'm doing a bunch of research.
Sweet.
And shit. Yeah, because SoundCloud's toast, man.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, this is dope. Yeah, see this one is like the extra texture on the snare and the evolution of it is really nice. I'm gonna show you another kind of thing you can do other than the noise wash to kind of pump up the highs and pump up the presence and the framing.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, you're also probably gonna want to time the splats and stuff.
Okay.
They're carrying over a little bit too far.
Okay.
Like that, like field recording thing. It's nice to gate them.
Okay.
But the note length is what to do for that. Or you can just do it in the sequencer and put the notes really precisely with the thing down. But if they're on one-shot mode, sometimes they like play a little long. And there's also like the main one on the snare. There's a little bit too much mids and lows, like that big long splat. That one.
Yeah.
hear more movement on the second one, the small one,
Okay.
because that small one, right? Like, it's got such a short tail that
Okay.
it's gonna
Yeah.
need to be really powerful to compete with the big long splat.
Okay.
And so I'll show you this thing that you can do to like pump up the highs like kind of uniformly. But also you might want to have a tight delay, like with a millisecond value around like 30 to 60, and then be like slowly scrubbing the time so that it kind of like,
Okay.
you know, some of the hits it's like brink, and some of the hits it's like, you know, and
Right.
it's just kind of slowly moving a little bit. So I'll show you how to
Okay.
do that too.
Sweet.
Oh, also, for your bell sound,
Mhm.
right? If you take a really, really slow LFO,
Uh-huh.
right, and then put it like 1 or 2% to the pitch,
Oh,
then
so it's like
it's
always
like,
changing a
yeah, so
little
it's
bit.
just kind of like warping in and out of tune,
Okay.
just a little. It'll sound fucking sick.
Okay, sweet.
Because it's got this really kind of like warm, nostalgic, analog-y thing happening. And if you do that, it'll sound so much more analog.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, see there, like in those little spots, there's a couple spots where there's some like kind of unnatural sounding fade ends
Uh-huh.
and stuff,
Okay.
like where it like stops, or there's like a mute where it just kind of doesn't feel as natural.
Right, right.
Or it doesn't feel like it flows. Because I mean, it's supposed to feel unnatural, right?
Mhm.
But naturally unnatural. Yeah, like there on the turnaround,
Mhm.
like there's a couple of them that feel a little weird. Yeah, there.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying.
But when you pump up the drum sounds, you might be able to fill that in with drum, like extra drum sustain.
Okay.
Because like in the one with the big field recording, that one, no problem. Because
Okay.
that sound fills that spot. Wow, this is really nice. Yeah, the backwards is. I love my backwards is.
Yeah, oh yeah. Always about those.
Plus, the song is exactly 420 in length.
Right, that was unintentional too. Just
Yeah. It works. It works. Man, I did a track the other day that was exactly 80 bars at
uh-huh.
135 BPM, and 80 bars at 135 BPM is 2 minutes, 22 seconds, and 222 milliseconds. I was like, whoa, whoa.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So here, I'll show you a couple other things that you can do
Sweet.
with the drum just to kind of even out the presence.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one of the best things you can do for your drum highs is to use the drum bus, right?
Okay.
And if you kind of apply, like, see, I've turned the compressor on here, and this is going to be, you know, giving you a bit of push on it, but you can also like pump the transients up in this and makes it sound really sharp. And then this crunch.
Okay.
So that right away is really, the crunch is really good. And then if you overdo the crunch, you can damp it and take the highs down. But I changed my default to have it open because I don't really like those highs.
Okay.
But yeah, you want the cromp on. Here, I'll take those off. But you see the highs are a bit more even, but they get kind of blown out easily. So I'm gonna take the transient off and the crunch off, and I'll show you some other ways you can do it. So I'm going to go into our good friend OTT, but I'm using the actual Ableton one right now because I do not want to be applying anything to these lower bands. I just want to upward compress the highs. Okay? So then, right, and then you go maybe above 6K, or like above, you want to be above the pain zone, really, because that shit can be a bit much in the pain zone.
Okay.
And then you can change the time, or make it slower. See how it takes longer to come up? Here, I'll solo this band. So here, it's like it takes longer to come up, whereas down here, it's really flattened out.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes I won't even have the downward threshold on, and I'll just have upward. Right? So it's like pushing really hard.
Okay.
I'm getting too much transient, or too much out of it there, so take this down. I'm going to take the attack all the way down. Right? And just so I want it to be super fast. It's just crushing all those highs. And then I might do a little, there's one that's a bit loud, so I'm going to put that limiter on. Okay, and then you back the amount off.
Okay.
Right, so I'll take it back to normal. So then I'll bring this up. And bring this up maybe a bit. And then just creep it in. And sometimes you crank this, because if you crank this up, this output is after the compression. Right?
Okay.
So if you crank this up high, that means you'll need less amount and you can have more of the dry signal.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. So here before.
Oh yeah,
You
definitely.
see it like really evens out the highs and makes sure that they're like a constant presence. And then because it's very, very dry, you know, you just blend it in. So it's like a form of parallel compression, I guess. But
Okay.
it's just like parallel upwards compression on just the highs.
Okay.
And that way you can get this like really crispy kind of presence up there. And then watch what happens when you have it with a noise wash. Okay, so now I'm going to show you, here I'll take the vinyl down a bit. Okay, cool. So now I want to show you the bells thing. So I'll just get like, what did you make your bells in? What synth?
It was in Serum.
Okay, cool. Okay, and that was in F minor, right?
Yes.
Basic shapes. Okay. Okay, that will take up to... Oh, that's not giving me quite enough. I'm gonna go into the mod matrix. Yeah, I find Serum, it's like as nice as that drag and drop massive style shit is, it's just a bit, I like a mod matrix. Like at first I used to hate them because it just looks so like, you know, like computer programming-y.
Right.
But okay, so get that really tight now. There we go. And then I also like the mod matrix because you can have the amount here and then you can side chain it over here. This is like a second VCA on the amount.
Oh, okay.
So you can like fine tune your modulation.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's call that our bell sound, like our just basic bell.
Okay.
And then I'm going to show you some things you can do to make it sound more analog. Actually, I should play the riff in. like that. Okay, so that was kind of somewhat like your riff, I guess. Oh wait, it should be a. Oh wait, I think it was up one a little bit. Yeah, there we go, something like that. Okay, so now let's say that's your riff, and you want it to sound more analog. Actually, here, I'll open up the tail on it a little longer. So if you take, I like to use LFO4 for this whenever I'm programming on a synth. So you don't want it to be re-triggered at all. Like you want this to just be a free running LFO, and you want it to be like pretty slow. Like I'll say like 8 bars, right? And then no anchors, yeah, BPM, or yeah, outputs. Yeah. Okay, cool. I think that should be just cycling. I don't really use Serum that much. But now, okay, so now I'll go to the mod matrix and I'll say LFO4. I want to again go to the master tuning, but I want it to be a fucking tiny bit. Alright, so then you use this to attenuate the amount. So you turn it up just a tiny bit here, but you also turn it down here because you want it to be like a tiny fucking amount.
Okay.
Another really good modulator, if you go into global, there's these chaos modulators. Okay? So now, if you take the chaos and you put it as fast as it can go, and then you want that to go in here as well. So we'll go to chaos 1, and again to the master tuning. But this one I'm going to go down, and then master tuning again. Like here, okay, I'll crank these up each individually. So here, I'll turn the chaos like up a lot so you can hear what it's doing. So it's essentially FMing the signal with noise.
Okay.
Right? So you can go in here and you can change it to sample and hold if you want steps on your noise. That'll give you a different kind of noise. You could put it to mono. BPM sync. Right, I like to do that. Right? So you want to take that down, so it's just a little bit. Now I'll show you the other one. Just maybe a little faster. Yeah, like just right, but you want that to be like just a tiny bit. And then I'll sometimes, because you want the slow LFO to be a little unstable, I'll sometimes modulate LFO for the rate with a fifth LFO. And then this LFO is going to be changing how fast the other one is. But you can't do a sample and hold on this, I don't think. Like, is there a way to do sample and hold? Miscellaneous, there must be a sample and hold in here. Sidechain user. Yeah, I don't think there's sample and hold in here. I think you're meant to do sample and hold on the chaos.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess I'll do it the proper way then. I'll do it the way the synth wants you to. So then I'll put BPM, I'll put that, and I'm nice and slow. Right. And this will modulate the rate of LFO. Yeah, see how it's like really making it feel unstable now?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'll turn LFO4 up. So that's what LFO4 is all over the shop now. Like, see? See how it's all lurching?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Right? And when you modulate a modulator, like when you modulate your LFO speed, you get really cool random shapes. Like, it's hard to get something that's like random sounding out of an LFO unless you modulate its speed with another oscillator.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm going to turn these down, have them just up, just a tiny bit. You hear the way it like like, so I'll turn these off. Like here, it just sounds super mathematical.
Right, right.
It's like super, super perfect. So it sounds a little bit like you know when you are looking at a movie and they have computer generated images and they're too clean, and your
Right,
eye picks it
right.
out and you're like, that came out of a fucking computer. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. It's the same thing with your ears. Like if you want it to sound organic and natural, you have to add these little imperfections to the sound
Okay.
that will just make it. Because another thing that you like never fucking hear in band music is everybody's basic pitch being exactly A440.
Right.
You'd never fucking hear that in a band. You never hear that in music that's made with hardware. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty much like unless everybody's using only digital synths or like it's a completely like computer VST based performance, it's not going to be all A440. Like everything's going to be a couple cents out.
Okay, right.
And a lot of the time when I get towards the end of my track, I'll go in and I'll not only rotate the phase of some of my sounds, but I'll also like try tuning some of the synthesizers, like the root pitch a few cents off.
Okay.
And a lot of the sound of your actual mix and everything is depending on these interactions of like phase and tuning.
Okay.
And when they're all like, you might find a sweet spot, like when you rotate the phase on your channels, like there's different phase rotator plugins that you can get.
Okay.
But like here, I think like free phase rotate VST. I think there's one. I was looking at this the other day. Yeah, KVR audio. This is where you always find all the free fucking VSTs.
Okay.
Yeah, here we are, 32-bit free VST. Yeah, phase bug to shift the phase of it. Perfect. So this is one that you can do it where you can shift the phase because you don't want to invert the phase necessarily. You just want to shift it until you find a sweet spot.
Okay.
But if you play with the phase and you play with like the master tuning of things, like I'll sometimes go in, I'll just go to the fine tune here and just fucking nudge that a couple down on each of the sounds, and you'll find sweet spots like when you're mixing,
Okay.
where
Interesting.
suddenly everything will sound better, and it's like it's just some subtlety of the way things are lining up, you know.
Right.
And yeah, so definitely check that out. But the more imperfections you can add to like the phase of the sound and the tuning of the sound,
Uh-huh.
the more natural it's gonna sound.
Okay.
So yeah,
Cool.
so this is totally fucking just super mathematics.
Right.
But then yeah, like there, then you start to get into Boards of Canada territory pretty quick once you turn it up.
Right.
But yeah, if you have it just a little, but you want to freeze it before you do your mix down because you don't want it constantly shifting when you're doing your final
Okay.
mix. But yeah, so I would suggest doing some of that. And then do this parallel compression thing on the highs. And then
Mm-hmm.
experiment with the crunch on the drum bus. And definitely use the drum bus as a compressor. Do you have Fab Filter Pro L3?
Yes.
Oh shit, okay, that's the best
Yeah, I
one.
just got that. I actually haven't used that one yet. I just got like that bundle and have only dove into some of them.
Yeah, it uses a fuck ton of processor and it introduces
Okay.
64 milliseconds of latency for every instance.
Oh shit.
So you really only use it when you're mixing, but it sounds fantastic.
Okay.
So I will often go in through my track and literally replace all the limiters in my track with FabFilter Pro L3 at the end, and just like you end up having like a second of latency and stuff. Like it's wild. But if you go in and just copy the settings and replace everything with FabFilter Pro L3,
Right.
it can be really good. But in terms of zero latency limiters, the one in the drum bus is great.
Okay.
And I use it a lot when I'm working. But I think there's actually, I wonder if there is a Pro, oh no, it's Pro L2, that's right. Yeah, let's see. I wonder if there's a zero latency setting in this. True peak limiting, dither, oversampling. I think maybe in the advanced style. No, I think maybe there is a zero latency setting here somewhere. What is that? Yeah, I don't know. There's like lower latency settings in some of the other ones.
Okay.
MIDI learn. What's this? Enable MIDI. No, tether. It's cool that it even has MIDI. Another thing that's really cool too is you can sidechain limiters. You can
Really?
sidechain this limiter. So like, let's say you want to render stems, but you want them all to sum to the master.
Uh-huh.
Right? If you sidechain all of the limiters on each individual stem from a recording of the full mixdown that you do not hear, then that version of the mixdown is going like all the limiters are going to sum to the same thing as your mastered track.
Okay.
Right? So if you ever want to make stems, you can do that. But that's
Okay,
pretty
good to
cool because
know.
that's new on like most limiters don't have a sidechain. And just,
Right.
if you have a sidechain, if you sidechain it from the full mix, but have an individual limiter on each stem, you can render the individual stems.
Okay.
But yeah, but
Huh.
that's new in 10.1.
Okay.
Yeah, very fucking cool. I haven't tried it yet, but I've been thinking about it for years and had
Yeah.
not been able to do it. But yeah, so I'd say add a little bit more of imperfections to those things and really start detailing your noise wash and providing a lot more movement to your sounds. Now I'm going to do on this Leviathan drum cell, let's see, I'll pick a different snare, I guess. Right now I could probably still do it on this. Okay, so this is on, so you've got the reverb one, but I also want to make another one that is going to do those like slowly moving, millisecond delays. Okay, so I'm going to solo this, and I'm going to solo the snare. So now I put them tight. Right, do you hear that?
Yeah.
Here, I'll solo just our layer that I'm showing you the trick on. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
And then you go to the modulation, and you can either have sync on or off. I kind of like it a little random sounding. And then you put it to the delay. And see how the phase, that means they're different for the left and right ear. It's
Okay.
really stereo. Right? And you can crank it up and make it all crazy. And then this times 4 makes it 4 times the amount.
Okay.
So you start getting all glitchy things when you do that.
Uh-huh.
Check it out. See how it's like. You know, so it
That's
depends
sweet, yeah.
depends on how glitchy you want them. And then they get glitchier the faster you put the LFO. Right? And if you want highs, you're going to want to open up the highs. Right? Because that input filter defaults to pretty dull. Because it's for delays, not for goodness. But yeah, so I'm going to take this amount down. Okay, then I can probably take the feedback down. And then take it. Right? So I would say doing something like that. Yeah, you want it in about here, about 100. But on that little short sound, right? That little short sound that you have that's all nice.
Yeah.
To make it fill that spot where you have the silence, if you have some of these little moving tails. And then bonus, once you've created this sidechain, remember our sidechain from the white noise before?
Uh-huh.
Once you've created that, you can pop it anywhere you want. Now this will only be.
Okay.
So this will only be that same length. Oh, I just gotta turn that off. Oh wait, hang on, I gotta group these, make it dry. That's right. So you go all the way up. You go dry, that's the dry chain. Blah, undo. So that's dry. This will be bubble delay. That's what I call it because it kind of sounds like bubbles.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, where's my white noise? Is it not? Oh, okay, hang on. Oh, right. Gotta make the white noise the whole way. And there we go. Okay, so now if I... Yeah, so here we go. And now we see we have a precise amount of time of that. So you can set it to whatever, and you can crank the feedback. Because you don't have to worry about that. My delay has too much feedback, it's carrying on forever problem because you got this gate.
Gotcha, right.
So it's basically like, it can be treated as another kind of noise wash, really. And you can also, once again, go into the side chain. Let's get that off the train. And then you can EQ it. Here, I'll turn off the reverb one. Yeah, there we go. See, and then you get a different glitch each time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, fun times. And then
Sweet, yeah.
then there's the whole... Oh yeah, I gotta make the rest of the drums come back in. Like, that sounds super full, even without anything else. You know, and it's the same, like, it's a stupid fucking drum pattern. Like, it's really basic, you know, really, really basic. But it's the sounds that fit around the drums that make those, like, really basic patterns work.
Definitely,
you know?
yeah.
And all this stuff. Because, like, people spend so much time focusing on these moments, like at the very beginning of the note.
Mm-hmm.
That's where most people focus, and they don't realize that most of what's going on in your song is happening here, in the in between spots of the notes.
Right.
You know, whether you're side chaining or whether you're sound designing or whatever, you want to basically treat each one of these transient moments with the kind of, you know, put it up on a pedestal, like with your subs, where you just take everything else out of the way, so that sound is just controlling that area.
Okay.
Right? So you basically want your main drum hits, like your kick and your snare, to dominate the hits that they're on, just like the sub dominates the bass. Right? And then all of your other sounds, like your sound designs, your textures, your extra layers, you're going to take the attack up on them and get them the fuck out of the transients. Right?
Yeah,
so whether you're side chaining or you're doing whether you're side chaining or you're doing the fake side chain or you're volume fading or whatever, when those drum hits are happening, get all this shit out of the way.
Okay.
Yeah. And then same thing too with this. See, this is quantized perfectly on the downbeats. Well, here, if you could do it with this track delay here and push and pull it a little bit, but watch what happens if you put it a little bit before the beat. Right, or maybe a little bit more. Right, you see how it's just starting to give the whole beat like a swing, or you could you could put it after. Depends on the sound you're going for, but basically try and like push and pull things. So what I don't like using this because that's latency, but I will sometimes do it to test, and then I'll be like, okay, scroll down here, or I'll go to like you know, here and just scroll down and be like, okay, let's just do that, and then put it back to normal. But often getting things out of the way of the main transients is a good idea with your melody sounds, and certain sounds can sound really good like before the hit that you'd expect, like especially right before a snare. So it's like a shiglak.
Okay.
All right. So like here, let's see. I'll see if I can find a. Oh, there's the snare rather. But like if you have a tiny little fucking thing for each of those snares, that can sound really good. And then sometimes, like let's say you have like vocals or whatever, good rappers stay the fuck off of the downbeats.
Right.
And you'll notice that, well, like a lot of the time when people take a rap vocal and then they chop it up and put it in their track, they make it sound all like it sounds all 80s and shit, and like they don't listen to rap music, you know. So yeah, so what, like put your vocals off the beats especially, but having like yeah, I think that's perfect. So I think those sorts of details are really going to help you get your beats pumping, because your subs are good.
Okay.
And the patterns are good and your sounds are good, but you really need to get those highs up. And that that parallel OTT, you know, that parallel upward compression thing on the highs, I do that a lot on a lot of sounds.
Sweet.
Yeah, and that's because that's the primary reason why you use OTT, is to get the highs where you need them to be.
Right. Okay.
So I'll often do just this and just parallel compress the highs, and then you're kind of leaving the rest of the sound like a little bit less squashed.
Okay.
And then you can play with the time. Like if it's a slower sound, you turn it like to the right, and if it's a fast sound, or if you know, like I want that to just be instant, that attack. Like I don't really want transient coming through there. I just want it to be like a flat.
Yeah.
So I turn the attack all the way down and then the time all the way down to make it just like as fast as it can go. But you wouldn't do that for every type of sound. Like a vocal might sound a little unnatural with those settings. But yeah, definitely this parallel OTT thing. Okay, cool. So here I'm gonna listen to your other track here now.
This one's still very much, this is for the splice side for this much. Definitely, I haven't gotten like any feedback on it yet. It still has a lot to do, but figure go ahead and
I think I'm gonna do the weekly download this week on fills. I wanted to have like a really I wanted to have a really big subject for the weekly download, because there's definitely some more phase 3 tricks that I want to show people. So I'll probably do another part on phase 3 or another couple parts on phase 3, but fills are kind of phase 3-ish, and I think they make it a self-contained topic. So I mean, what do you think, like final mix tricks or fills for the big, because this is the big weekly download with the producer social?
Oh, right. I feel like fills would be super useful.
Okay, cool.
I mean, obviously both, but the big one maybe.
Yeah, okay, cool. So I'll do fills. All right, so here is the Splice Cypher track. Do you have this Sound Toys stuff?
I don't know.
Okay. What do you have for pitch and formant shifters?
I have Manipulator.
Oh, okay, cool. Manipulator's really dope. This is cool.
Thanks.
There's something so tough sounding about flutes.
Right?
You know? It's
like such like a light sound, but still like so heavy feeling. Yeah.
It's like, yo, I like a piccolo. What are you gonna do about it? Oh, this is cool. that should basically be like, I think, the main fucking riff. Like,
Yeah.
like the way it's going backwards and forwards, and it's got that bounce to it. Super sick. And like that repeating first part of the motif. What are your reverbs?
What's that?
What reverbs do you use?
Really just echo mainly. And I have the black hole reverb that I've been playing around with.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I got it when there was that whole like black hole massive thing. It was on sale for like $30, so I picked it up.
You sidechaining your reverbs?
Yes. I'm not sure if I have in this one yet. So mainly I use a lot that duct reverb that you had in the template.
Yeah, that one helps.
Yeah, I use that a lot.
That sounds surprisingly good on a send. Like it's nice to have
Okay.
both options, but I sometimes have my send reverb be duct.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, that one's really dope. I think this bit here.
That middle, yeah.
Like I think if you did a preset shred with that riff, like you maybe got the MIDI notes of, because the cut up that you do here is like that's right in the pocket. Like
Okay.
it's really.
I was gonna say that's kind of one of the other things. Like I've been trying to work and get better at like writing my own melodies, and obviously like this one was like the sample splice stuff, but I feel really comfortable when it's like I find a dope, melody loop and like chopping it up and doing a bunch of stuff to it, but I still feel like when I write my own melodies they just sound so boring or like cheesy, basic. Which
did you check out those the push classes and the melody classes that I put up on the weekly download?
Yeah, I could probably review them. That could probably be useful too.
That exercise, you have a push, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that exercise, if you do that melody exercise, it really fucking helps.
Okay.
You just go chord progression, ostinato, lead, boom.
Right.
Chord progression, ostinato, lead, and you can do them in like a minute.
Right. Okay.
Like be just fucking bang them out. And like here, I'll show you like, I'll leave it on my camera so you can see the push. But all I'm gonna do here is just get like a piano sound. Right, and you just come up really fast with a let's see. Okay, so maybe go down a bit. I'll do the bait. I'll just leave it looping. Oh, it's just gonna be on overdub. Okay, so that. Take some of the pitching off of this thing. It's a little too crazy. Yeah, no, I'm teaching, but I'll be out in a minute.
Okay.
Oh, awesome, exciting. Thanks, Shami. Sick. There's food out there. Okay, so now we've got a chord progression. Here, I'll take that off. Now we'll do. What should we need? Wait, am I in minor? Yeah, I'm in minor. Okay, so. Okay, so that's our ostinato.
Uh-huh.
And then you'd be like. And then that would be the lead.
Okay.
Right? So you gotta just come up with a chord progression, one thing that repeats, and then a lead.
Okay.
Right? So I'll do it again. So this time I'll do it without your thing start. Okay, so let's do. Yeah, okay, so. Okay. Okay, so that's the ostinato.
Okay.
So. You just like you just do that like a bunch of times. Like they'll sound really cheesy and stupid and
Right.
you know whatever because it's literally just a bunch of melodies on the piano. But
Mhm.
if you just like do that like a ton of times,
Okay.
you'll really get like a feel for like which intervals are where, how they kind of interact, which chord shapes are really working or not. And then I
Okay.
went through a bunch of those chord shapes, but that's the basic exercise. Like you just make a chord progression, you make one thing that repeats, and then you make something that doesn't repeat. That's like a main character. So
Okay.
they're like different characters in like a play or whatever, right? So like
Right.
so here let's see like so let's do another one. I didn't realize I was recording there. Undo, undo, undo. Yeah, so here, this will be my. And you just pick different ranges and get used to making like three parts that go together, three parts that go together, three parts that go together, and then you'll find like some of them are like really nice sounding and like in the pocket and everything, and then you can break them out to different instruments and you can say, oh, I want the chord to be in this instrument, I want the repeating part to be in this instrument, I want like the bass to be in this instrument. You know, just like fire them out, like 1, 2, 3 into the piano, and you'll really quickly kind of get a feel for making melodies that you like.
Okay.
So now I want to talk about
your
I want to talk about your checkerboarding a bit. So let's get like I guess an 808 in here. I think this one. Let's do this. Let's see what this one's all about. Okay, so. Oh wait, here I'll go back to showing Ableton. Okay, so. Okay, cool. So we got that. So let's say that you want to do some checkerboarding. So I'm gonna do like 128 NHF. These ones are so awesome.
Oh yeah, that sample pack is fantastic.
It's the greatest thing ever. So let's say you want to have some sounds that are coming in and checkerboarding. I'll put one here. I want this to kind of pop in. This is gonna be my punch-in bass. Okay, so let's actually here I'll put a limiter on here because it's clipping. Okay, so there's all this shit in the way, right?
Right.
So I want that all to be out of the way. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into my crossfader, put the noise wash on crossfader B, put the theorem on crossfader B, put that on crossfader B. And then when I go to automation mode on my mixer, I'll go to the crossfader, and you want it to be all the way up except for your checkerboard spot. And then you go boop, like that. Then that mutes all that shit.
Okay. Yeah.
It just punctuates everything, and it's so much fucking easier than going in and muting everything. And
Right.
it's way easier than sidechaining. This is the best way I've found to do that.
Okay.
So that when your sounds come in and you have this problem a little bit, the presence, like, because there's times in your tracks where like the bell thing will be the lead, and then there's other times when you have these like gnarly kind of texture sounds. They're like really textured basses, and I don't know like what you're doing to make those kind of harsher textures, but it sounds really kind of like digital and intense, right?
Right.
So what I think, like, basically, we've heard a lot of, kind of digital textures before that are intense. So if you want them, like, I think that if you're going to have that kind of like a little bit of harshness in the texture, you either need to tuck it into the mix more and treat it like so it sits behind the bell sounds, and that like digitalness isn't like, it's kind of just like, it just feels like unfinished.
Right.
Or you want to pump it up and make it fucking like super harsh and digital and crazy,
Okay.
like just for a second, right? So if it's like, if those sounds are playing underneath the bells, you're probably going to want to back that texture off a lot.
Okay.
But if the sounds are playing in a checkerboard spot, you're going to want to make sure that the highs are really clear.
Okay.
So once again, go to the OTT preset. Boom. Turn off the lows, and then just parallel OTT the highs. Oh yeah, fun fact. If you go into the drum rack, oh wait, no you can't. Never mind. I'm gonna mute these extra hi-hats. Or maybe just have one of them. I'll probably kill a whole bunch. use that to push up the highs, and then just turn them out. But here you probably want like all upward compression because they're really quiet.
Okay.
Turn the whole thing up a bit. Try -6. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, then you turn just a bit of it. Right? And then another thing you can do is, you know how to make that air compressor?
I'm not sure that I do.
Okay, so you take a compressor. In our case, I'm going to use the glue. And you put it in parallel.
Uh-huh.
Right? And this is like, let's call this ill air. And you do this to get air. So then you have a compressor that is just fucking squashing the shit out of it. And then you have a high pass, so you just have the very highs, like you want it like above the pain zone.
Okay.
Right? So you don't want anything below the pain zone at all. And then you take the compressor, and I'm gonna solo right here. Let's see it. Let's just loop this for a sec. Right, so you put it like fucking blast the shit. Right, you can put the clipping on. It's gonna clip. Yeah, there we go. Now we got the clipping because you want that clip to come on.
Okay.
Right, and then once you get the clip to come on, you see how it's giving you compressor distortion,
Uh-huh.
which is really nice. If you want more, you make it shorter, you crank the ratio up, and just blast it, right?
Okay,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
you would mix that in. See how it's just like all this definition comes in on the
Yeah.
sound? Here, I'll take the OTT off. Yeah, you can open it up a little if you want. It just gives you this extra layer of like definition because it's compressor.
Right.
And then because it's compressor distortion, it's a very even volume level of like
Okay.
saturated highs.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah, and then you adjust this to taste. You can adjust this to taste, but you want it to be clipping, and then it sounds different whether you have it before or after. So check out how it sounds when it's this way, right? But check out how it sounds this way. Like it's a little bit more open, but it's harder to get it to clip.
Yeah.
So you have to like if you do it this way. You know, so I tend to do it the other way. Because then you're getting the but sometimes it's nice to drive a compressor with just highs and have the distortion come out of just the highs. Depends on what you're after, but this way sounds
Okay.
cleaner. But here, like if we take this, put this like this. Yeah, so that's more the sound of the highs. Because you're always gonna have a really even level out of this guy. Because it's clipping, right? So it's running up against the
Right.
And then don't forget erosion on wide noise. Like here, I'll take the other one off. Yeah, and then I'll put this all the way up. And then usually you don't want it to interfere with the sub, so.
Okay. Yeah, I've definitely like using erosion on a lot of things. I haven't been doing that after though.
Yeah, and then you get the then you get just the noise.
Okay.
Right, because you don't necessarily want all the body from here, because you want the body to be dry.
Right.
Yeah, so if you mix that in, then you can open it up or whatever. And then if you do all of them, oh my god, so much highs!
Nice. Yeah.
Right? So if you do that kind of shit to get the highs,
Okay, for
super
sure.
duper fucking crispy. So I'll call this erosion. And then this one will be macro 2. This one will be crisp, or this one will be air. Yeah, and then actually here I'll group that. Boop to boop. Air. Erosion. And then key get in there. And that's going to be OTT.
Sweet.
Okay, now this is going to be the ill air rack. Yeah, I'll send you this project. Yeah, that's a nice rack.
Yeah.
I should maybe have the output on the OTT come down slightly as that happens. So I want the output to be minimum at 0, and then probably let's do -6. All the time.
Yeah. Me both.
Sick. Okay, cool.
That's dope.
Save. That is a useful
Yeah, definitely
rack.
for that.
That is a useful rack. Okay, cool. So yeah, so when you do if you want to bring out that texture on those sounds, do shit like that. But I would suggest using a lot of kind of like tape saturation and shit to kind of deepen some of your sounds.
Okay.
Because like some of your sounds are a bit like they sound a little bit raw for the kind of deeper style that you're going for. At
Okay.
least in the mix on the most recent one, because I guess you just haven't done as much reverb or processing or whatever yet.
Right.
But if you want to make it sound like deeper, then tape saturation is a really good way. And echo, fun fact, can be used as a tape saturator.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you turn the reverb or turn the delay off, and then turn the filter
Dang,
off.
you can use echo for everything.
Yeah, I know. It does all the stuff.
Super useful.
It does all the stuff. But yeah, and then you go here to this D, right? That means that when you overdrive this, it overdrives the dry signal.
Okay.
So if you turn that on, right, you can turn it all the way down and overdrive it, or you can overdrive it this way. But if you turn it all the way down, you can do it, and then you just turn it up a little bit. And then turn this down.
Nice.
Yeah, so here I'll make this macro 1, macro 1. Okay, so this would be -12. Max would be, oh no, this would be from input gain, it's going to go from 0 up to 40, and then that's got to go from 0 to -40. I think. Let's see if that works. Oh yeah, I gotta loop it. Yeah, not -40. Let's try -20. That's a fucking fun saturation.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's that's the echo saturator. Oh wait, actually, I should put ill in front of it. Yeah. So if you use you can use it as a more harsh kind of saturation to kind of flatten things out, but you can also there's like nice tape ones that you can get. Like I use the UAD ones, like the Oxford tape. But I think there's some free ones. Well, yeah, okay, so free mastering tape VST. Yeah, there's a bunch of free tape plugins that are good. So yeah, check it. But yeah, to experiment with
Okay.
actual tape simulators.
Okay.
Because yeah, there's a lot of them that are nice, and you want to look for ones that like this. I mean, the Studer one is really really nice. Yeah, Tokyo Dawn the plugins are fucking amazing, by the way.
Okay.
Definitely check them out. Yeah, I haven't tried any of these other ones. Oh, the Voxingo one will be good.
Okay.
Their shit is always good. Yeah, those are all free ones. So experiment with some tape saturation,
Okay.
and then also low passing the sounds that you want to be far away. Give them low pass and reverb.
Okay.
So like, let's say we want this serum thing, where is it? Let's say we want that to feel further away,
Mhm.
right? You could add some reverb to it. You said you're using echo?
Mhm.
Okay, so I'll just take the duct reverb then. I'm not really getting enough out of this. Yeah, I don't think I'm getting enough out of this. So you have the black hole one. I don't think I have anything with those algorithms, but here I'll do. Yeah, I don't. I mean, a plate reverb is really what you want when you want a dark reverb. Do you have anything
Okay.
that can do like a plate?
Potentially, maybe. I'm not sure. I haven't super dove into that.
Yeah, well, maybe go try and get some plate reverbs.
Okay.
Like, if you look at, like, I'm sure there's some free plate reverbs. But yeah, plate reverb is a really nice. Here, free plate reverb. Interesting. Okay, but yeah, anyway, look through here. Let's see, plate. Yeah, so this one, Tal Reverb 2. It's free here.
Okay.
Yeah, so here I'll paste these into the chat for you.
Sweet.
Just that one. Then there's the phase rotator one. You might have. Are you on Mac?
No, PC.
You're on PC. Sick. Here you go. PC
Yeah.
phase rotator.
Sweet.
And then where is that? I think I did it in Safari, but yeah. Then here's this one. Then these are the tape saturation, but definitely experiment with tape saturation
Okay.
and plate reverb. So I'll show you like because plate reverbs are really good for making things sound rich because they give you like a deeper reverb. This the duct reverb isn't really giving me what I want. But if I go into here, like this EMT 140 plate reverb, or actually Serum might have a plate reverb. I don't know. Whoa. Suddenly opening other plugins. Okay, so I'll put it just wet solo first. It always starts wet solo, but just check out the texture. Like you see how it's got that kind of naturally dark sound?
Yeah.
And you can high pass it here on the input most of the time. It's a high pass. And you get like a. And I'll take it off. But that's like it gives it a little bit more highs and stuff, and it just makes it feel really like deep.
Right. Okay.
You know,
Cool.
and it's
Yeah.
just like helps the sound sit in the background. And then if you combine that with not like oh, the new channel EQ is so sick. Check out what it does when you turn the highs down. low pass and shelf together.
Oh
Isn't
man, that's
that
super
cool?
convenient. Yeah.
Yeah, so you do probably, that's basically what you want.
Nice.
And you can high pass too. But yeah, you probably want to back the highs off and give it some plate reverb. Like you see how it just tucks it into the mix?
Yeah.
And then if you want to protect the transients on most reverbs, you can use this pre-delay parameter, and that makes a delay before the reverb actually kicks in. And most
Okay.
natural reverbs, you have that because it's like the distance between you and the walls or whatever.
Gotcha.
So if I turn this up to like 50 milliseconds, just like here, I'll solo it. You see how it makes a little like double transient almost?
Yeah.
So you gotta kind of bring it down to not really hearing it as a double transient. I'll take some more highs out of it. Just taking the EQ down on the highs. Yeah. But you can use that to like get a reverb. Right here, I'll change that. There we go. Maybe try this one. These are 3 different plates. They all have a little bit different sound. Yeah, here probably. I think probably B was the one. But yeah, so here it's like all bright and like you see how it feels like a little bit. Even with that. Oh wait, we took our pitch bending off. So that's right. I'll put that shit back on. Hang on, just a bit. But yeah, so you see, and then this.
Yeah. Fills it out a lot nicer.
Yeah. And it's like those little detunings and those little changes in the transients and the like reverb, it just gets it out of the way of the other sounds,
Okay.
you know? And but like putting it a little bit late is almost like a side chain, you know? And the more you can cheat it over. Like that still feels like it's in the same spot, but like
Right.
you know, it just gives it that little bit more bounce, you know?
Right.
So, but yeah, so I'd say,
Sweet.
you know, experiment with plate reverbs and experiment with the kind of deeper sounds, you know, get them to sound really like far away, because that makes shit sound really emotional, you know?
Okay.
So I would say like experiment with taking some of the highs out and like setting some of those deeper sounds a little bit further away, and then when you want to pop things to the front, treat the fucking highs.
Okay.
You know, really treat
Yeah.
the highs. So here, I guess I'll save this in my Dropbox for you.
Sweet.
Dropbox. Okay, cool. So it's just uploading now, I think. Yeah, then I'll get the link. Oh, I gotta collect all and save, I bet. Oh boy, hang on, where's Ableton's? Ableton sometimes does this thing where it like doesn't want to change windows with the Mac window switching. Oh, it's having a little poop.
Being a little difficult.
Yeah, it's having a little brain fart. Yeah, but yeah, I'll collect all and save on it.
Sweet.
But yeah, so I think you know, those are the main things that I recommend.
Okay.
But like getting just because your compositions are fine, you know, your
Okay.
compositions are fine. Like you could probably I think do more fills.
Okay.
But I think you know, I'll do the weekly download about fills on Wednesday, so check
Sweet.
that out.
Okay.
But making fills is like, it really helps make your music sound like, whoa, who's that? You know?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's really like like having really nice flowing fills and turnarounds and shit that really are just like satisfying
Yeah.
palate cleansers at the end of your sections and like really get you ready for the next section.
Okay.
I think that kind of stuff because you have this there's this like slow kind of steady relentlessness of your music that's great, and like just getting it to drop back into that,
Okay. For sure.
you know,
Yeah.
when you would like just every now and then have it like doing something really kind of different and then just like satisfyingly like coming back into that groove.
Okay.
That's really like yeah, that's really like I don't know, I think it'll help.
Okay.
It'll help.
Sweet. Definitely.
Okay, so file, now I'm gonna collect all and save. Okay, so this Dropbox link might take a bit, but I'm just
Okay.
pasting it in the chat for you there. Yeah, because Ableton's collecting all and save. So I'd say hit that Dropbox link in like an hour maybe.
Okay. Right on.
Unless, yeah, I forget whether I said to include samples from my library. But yeah, so when it downloads though, let me know because I want to get rid of the project file.
Okay. Yeah.
Or
Well.
actually, I guess maybe actually I should probably put this up in the class of 808 section. This is a pretty good lesson.
Right on.
Okay, cool. Any questions about any of that stuff?
Oh, real quick. So with that last song I just showed you, what you were saying, so should I like cut out the first flute part and just make that more middle section like the main?
Well,
Kind of like
that
drop into that at
that
first,
riff
or?
is so sick. Yeah, I would say go right into which one is it?
Okay.
Splice
I
section?
kind of felt that too as I was writing it because I like
It's
had
so
that as
dope.
my C section, and then I was like, well, now this is my favorite part of
Yeah,
the.
that's the dopest part. Like it's right in the pocket that edit, and then I would say like even though that thing was made by chopping up a sample or whatever, I
Uh-huh.
would say you should like go in and copy the notes
Okay.
and load them into different synths so that you can like just match the articulation with MIDI as much as possible and then just preset shred
Okay.
and load it through a ton of different things so you have that same melody on the bells and then maybe it plays on a bass or maybe
Okay.
it plays on like a guitar type instrument or maybe it plays
Well, the
on
only thing was
something
it's
else.
that like sample splice one. So we only had like those like 150 samples to like choose from to use.
Okay, so oh well you can you could
Or just like find another and then make
yeah, you could just
run it
revoice it
through.
with other samples, like have
Okay.
it play the same riff on another sample, or have it play the same riff on a sampler instrument that you made out of the sample. Because you
Okay.
can, you know, how you can do like single cycle waveforms and shit, right? And make like a tone out of anything.
Okay.
Check out the make
Yeah.
sound. Could check out the make sounds out of anything weekly download that I did
Okay.
when we were doing the organic mixtape, because that one shows tricks for using the sampler to make like instruments that you can play chords on and shit out of anything.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, I'll definitely do that
Yeah,
then.
but yeah, if you had that riff get revoiced in a couple different ways, or had other sounds that like perfectly match the articulation, so it's very clearly that riff, but with a
Uh-huh.
new sound. If you have a couple spots where it does that, then you'll be able to really make it like feel danceable, even though the
Okay.
main riff is this high twinkly glitch thing.
Okay.
You know, and then getting the subs and the rest of the drums right, like if you do all that like pulsing fucking like
Right.
noise wash and like side chain reverbs and gated reverbs and just get that drum beat like going,
For sure.
then yeah, I think that you'll be able to not necessarily have to have any sounds that are more aggressive than that and still have it feel like a good drop.
Right. Right. Okay. Sweet.
Yeah.
We'll definitely
And
do
then
that.
use the crossfader trick on the noise wash too, and like have shit punch in. Like you ever listen to Rusko? He's the king of that shit.
Yeah. 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 For
Yeah,
sure.
those little fucking stop moments where like you think it's gonna be a drop, and then it's like some weird alarm noise that you only hear once in the track, and then it goes to the
Yep.
drop. You know, that kind of shit. If you use the crossfader for that and get a couple of those like sweet transitions, but I'm gonna cover that in the fills because I often consider those little stops like it's almost like a fill, but like on the downbeat.
Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely tune in on Wednesday and then be able to give
Okay.
those a shot.
Sweet. All right, lots of love.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time. This is all
Yeah,
great.
of course. Peace.
All right. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.